And there you have it. The new African champions have been crowned. The Africa Cup of Nations final has come and gone, and it was one of the most beautiful, wildest, controversial, shameless, shameful, and one of the most unforgettable games of football that's going to be played in any year. Not just this year, but in any year. I mean, we're not forgetting this final in an absolute hurry. Doesn't matter if you won or lost. We're not forgetting this one in an absolute hurry. And it just felt like everything just came to a head. Everything Africa has been feeling for the last few years has just come to an absolute head. So the Africa Cup of Nations has come and gone. The final has been played. We have our new champions. For one, it's a golden send-off. For the other, there's going to be some deep, dark questions that they're going to have to answer from here on in. Hi, I'm the Football Otaku, and welcome to the final episode of this wrap of the series of the Africa Cup of Nations. It's Total AFCON final wrap. Welcome to my Total AFCON final wrap. If you guys are loving the content, don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe. Because the content ain't stopping after the Cup of Nations. The content ain't stopping after the Cup of Nations. There's no rest for the wicked. And if you listen quite closely after saying that, my personal battery just screamed in pain. Anyway, enough of me rambling and talking. Let's start off with the video, starting with... Now, the drama for the match would kick off even before a ball was even kicked in the warm-ups, as Kefim Diatta would pick up an injury in the warm-up. It's not even an injury. He got ill during the warm-up and would sadly be ruled out of the match. I mean, it's not a run-of-the-mill injury that players pick up. It was, from what I'd heard in the report, that he was actually had fallen ill during the warm-up, which is very which immediately is very concerning. And you could see, even when he was being led off, the entire team surrounded him as he walked off out of the pitch onto the tunnel and down into the dressing room. It meant that was something very serious. I'm not sure what it was, or maybe it was something he ate, but whatever it is, it's a truly heartbreaking thing, you know, knowing that he would have most likely started this final. To have something like that happen to him it's not a great experience. And already Senegal were having problems with their starting lineup. I mean, Kalidou Koulibaly, we all knew Koulibaly was going to miss this final anyway with injury, but the suspension of Kalidou Koulibaly, Habib Diallo as well. The changes coming in for was not Abdoulaye Seck, who I predicted, but it would actually be Antoine Diouf who would come in and would play at the back. I mean, someone who is vastly inexperienced at this level of international football, who would come in at the back for Keita Koulibaly, while Morocco were unchanged from the starting lineup against Nigeria in the semi-final. So the match kicks off and Senegal started pretty well. I mean, they were able to handle the crowd very well. I mean, the crowd was always going to be incredibly noisy. I mean, it's not really a surprise. But I mean, they handled it very well, and they created the first sort of meaningful chance of the game. A ball from the set piece coming in, a huge header with Pape Gueye, who would header the ball from the back post. Bruno would keep it out. But that was the first sort of real look into the game, real look at goal into the game, and we're only 3 minutes in. Senegal would also dominate a lot of the play as well. I mean, Morocco really struggled to get going, and Senegal were getting a lot of joy down that left flank, or their left-sided flank, with Sadio Mane, who was pulling a lot of the strings as well. Although they weren't able to create clear-cut opportunities, they were still able to get into Morocco and really were able to threaten Morocco as the game got on. Morocco, though, heading into the half an hour, would be able to create chances of their own. Saibari, I think, has a shot that goes wide. They're also getting a lot of joy down the opposite flank as well. But the big chance of the game, the big chance of the half, falls for Senegal. A wonderful through ball from Mane to find Iliman Ndiaye, who's this time playing on the right flank. He's in on goal, but Yassine Bono does just enough to tip it on the side away for a corner. I mean, it literally just catches his foot and then rolls past the post. But it really was a concerning start for Morocco. Senegal definitely been the stronger of the two sides, creating a lot more opportunities. Not clear cut, but a lot more opportunities, and were definitely more enterprising on the ball. Morocco, though, would end the half a lot stronger with a lot more attacks of their own, and definitely would be asking a lot of questions of the Senegal defense, of that young, at times raw Senegalese defense. I mean, Morocco's mid-block was really starting to pay dividends, and you could tell they were starting to get into the game. I mean, Senegal in the earlier sort of half an hour of the game were able to sort of catch Morocco out, were able to sort of dispossess them in very awkward places, and able to sort of break on instant as well. And that really was a good job, and really was a good job. They were able to sort of catch Morocco, and at times Morocco looked nervous. The team looked very, very nervous. You could just tell that they were nervous. And this was something I'd alluded to in my preview, that the nerves were going to get to the nerves could possibly get to them. And I say the nerves, I mean, playing a home Cup of Nations final, 49 to 50 years of expectation, and now, you know, how are they going to deal with that pressure? And they weren't really dealing with it pretty well. So though Morocco would have the better of the play as the game got on, they were able to force a lot more set pieces, were able to ask a lot more corners, get more corners, and ask a lot more questions of Edouard Mendy in the Senegal goal. So then the halftime whistle goes, and it's 0-0. It's 0-0, but it's a very good game. Both teams playing pretty well. Senegal were leading on points. I'd mentioned this in the halftime episode of the podcast, that Senegal had sort of lead the game on points. If this was two boxers, I'm sorry, I've been watching a lot of... I watched the entire Creed trilogy this week, so excuse the boxing analogies. Senegal were leading this on points. It was still level, but they were leading on points. They'd been the better playing team. They'd become the better playing side. They'd become the more enterprising of the two sides in the first half. Just couldn't land a knockout blow, but Morocco was starting to come onto their own, and was starting to get onto their own, and were really starting to pressure Senegal. But it was still very, very even, and I would have said at halftime with Touré Grug was keep that pressure going. You're growing into the game. You're starting to ask questions now. The fans are starting to get on your side. Keep that pressure going. But for Pape Thiaw, I would have said that to sort of keep solid. They were doing well enough, and just keep Morocco not necessarily at arm's length, but be able to be open to create opportunities. You're creating opportunities. You're creating a lot of good chances, half chances. Make the right decisions. I mean, there was one chance where Ndiaye has a shot, but on the overlap, he has Sadio Mane on the overlap. He should have passed to Mane, which would have been almost a goal. I mean, Senegal, in some cases, Senegal would have been 2-0 up at half time in the final, but it's 0-0. And it was a very, very good first half, but leading to the second half would be where all the drama would really kick off. So the second half begins, and Morocco keep that momentum. They kept the momentum in the second half. They were very much on the ascendancy, and they would have a great opportunity. A ball lifted into the area. Al-Kabi, who's been a star all tournament long, just was unable to just guide the ball or control the ball, and unfortunately just couldn't get it beyond Mendy. But you could tell Morocco now was starting to be on the ascendancy. You could just tell that Morocco were on the ascendancy. They were passing the ball better. They were starting to get into Senegal's territory, and they were starting to create more and more opportunities. So much so, I think they had another chance where they were in on goal with Brahim Diaz, but again, he's denied by Mendy. And you could tell Morocco really, whatever Regragui said to them at the break was really coming into effect. While Senegal weren't as effective. I mean, Mane, he's on the ball, but he's not really able to do much. I mean, they gang up on him, they at times gang tackle him. Nicholas Jackson as well also gets the ball, but he gets it in very awkward. When Senegal do get the ball on the break, they get Nicholas Jackson, but he's on the ball. At times he's facing 5 Moroccans on his own, and unable, and support arrives far too late. So you can tell Morocco for about the 45th onto like the 60th, 70th minute, they were having the much better of the ball. They were the much more enterprising. They were the ones knocking the ball around. They were the ones creating all the chances. And then, of course, there was a very, very ghastly injury for one of the defenders. I mean, it's absolutely innocuous. There's no malicious intent behind it, but he's bleeding. It looks ugly. He's pouring, gushing blood. It looks ugly. And thankfully he's treated well, and I think he was able to finish the game at the end, thank goodness. So thankfully that was sorted out and patched up real nicely. But heading on to the 70th minute onwards, you noticed something was about to happen. Senegal took control of the match themselves. They started creating chances of their own. Mane almost seemed to find a second wind running at the Moroccan defense, and there's one thing I've begun to notice in this last 15 minutes of normal time. Morocco are starting to tire. They are starting to tire. Remember, Morocco had played extra time and penalties against Nigeria just a couple of days ago on the semi-final on Wednesday. Although both teams played the semi-final on Wednesday, the same day, Morocco have an extra half an hour on their legs. So, and with the building fatigue in those legs, there were times where they felt that they were running on low and running on empty against a Senegal team who had played and won, or at least had got results of their matches all inside the 90 minutes. They hadn't been taken to extra time yet all tournament long, so Senegal still looked pretty fresh. I mean, of course, substitutes were made and Nasseri comes in. And so you could see Senegal, especially on the defense, because the defense played the full 120 minutes. Remember, Rugby only made attacking substitutions. He only made attacking subs in the semi-final against Nigeria. So at that point, it looks like the Moroccans are tiring. Senegal are creating a lot more opportunities. Mane is sort of starting to find the ball in places, but again, they're just not able to create opportunities. And then the first real moment of controversy happens. I mean, first Messina unfortunately picks up an injury and he's unable to continue the game, and the poor guy just couldn't hold the tears back. I mean, it's such a shame to pick up an injury so late in the game and unable to finish. But now the first real point of controversy happens. It's a corner. It's the 88th minute. Corner is played in. Abdoulaye Seck outmuscles Hakimi. He heads onto the post. It comes off the post, headed in, and it's 1-0 Senegal with seconds to play. And it's a dagger blow to Morocco. And as you could say, in the balance of play of the last 10-15 minutes, it's what Senegal deserved. Until it's not. The referee rules it out for a foul on Hakimi, and I had been praising this referee all game long. I've been praising him that he wants to play. He wants to keep play going. He wants to keep the play going. And he's allowed for a physical game. He's allowed for a physical game. He's allowed players to get physical and lay in the challenges within the law, of course. And has allowed the game to run, knowing that if we got a red card, this would be a poor spectacle. But this is a poor decision. I mean, what is Seck? If Seck is naturally stronger than Hakimi, what is he supposed to do here? Like how is he supposed to outmuscle him without his strength? It's weird, I get it. It looks a little wonky, but it just doesn't look bad. Like, it's not as bad as it's just literally two guys jostling for the ball, and Seck wins the duel. That's all, and the worst part is he doesn't even go to the monitor. He doesn't consult VAR. He literally just says no. And I'm sure VAR would have been in his ear to look at the monitor because it looks legit. I mean, there's certain times or certain plays in certain sports where what looks like a foul, it looks like a foul play, but when you run the play back, it's really just two muscled guys coming together, and sadly one guy comes out the worst of it. But he's legally, the winner of the duel has legally won the duel, even if it doesn't look that way. and it's really disappointing. And if you think that was bad, I think it was really a precursor to what is now the real talking point of this game. If you've watched enough videos, you'll know what was the real talking points of this game. So Morocco get up the pitch. We're in stoppage time. It's 8 minutes of stoppage time, rightfully so. I mean, we've had a blood injury, we've had a disallowed goal, very controversial disallowed goal, a blood injury, so naturally it's going to be 8 minutes stoppage time. And with the amount of substitutes that have been taking place throughout the game, a ball is played in with a corner kick. Brahim Diaz goes down. The Senegalese player who takes him down wins the ball, and then he starts shouting at the referee, or starts really mentioning to the referee. The referee then speaks to VAR and he runs to the monitor. That already has set off alarm bells, because for the Senegal disallowed goal, he was not looking at all to VAR, and now here he was consulting for a possible penalty. I mean, it is a penalty. By the letter of the law, it is a penalty, because this player has his hands all over Brahim Diaz. He's got his hands on his neck, and he sort of takes him out to get to the ball. It's a penalty in every sense of the law. But considering what he disallowed for Senegal's goal, I mean, it's also a pretty soft penalty as well, because you've allowed for a physical game. You've allowed and let people know that you're going to play a physical game. You're allowed to be a tad more physical than normal, as long as it's within the letter of the law. That's what you laid down. Maybe not to the players verbally, but that's what you've alluded to the players. So for him to call the Senegal goal back, but to then consider this being a penalty, is such a difficult call. Unfortunately, if you would look at the monitor, and as he looks at the monitor, there's this chaos everywhere. There's absolute chaos everywhere. There's benches clearing out. The coaches are having words with each other. I mean, as he's looking at the monitor, he's literally being surrounded by police, by stadium police. He then sees enough, makes the call, and it's the call we all expected and the call we all feared. Penalty. And then all hell breaks loose. I mean, again, the benches haven't stopped fighting. The players themselves look very distressed. The Senegalese players look very distressed. And then we see something absolutely unprecedented. Pape Thiaw calls his players off. He calls his players off and has them off the pitch. They all just walk off the pitch. Now, I do not condone Senegal's actions. I do not condone the Senegal's actions. Of course, I do not believe players I do not believe players should be walking off the pitch without just reason. Without a just reason. Even if it's for something like a penalty call, if there's no just reason, then you should not be walking off the pitch that way. But as much as I don't condone Senegal's actions, I understand them as well. Now, I'm going to digress from the match for a little bit. I'm going to talk a fair bit about lately what has been going on in this tournament. Over the years, this tournament has been a bit of a tipping point for what has been a growing anti-Moroccan sentiment amongst African football fans. Now, African football fans have seen over the last couple, especially those who are living in Africa, those who watch and follow African football, especially at a domestic level, outside of the Cup of Nations. We've been seeing a bit of a Morocco bias by CAF, whether it's the hosting of tournaments, whether it's Morocco getting what some people feel preferential treatment, or how we feel that Morocco keep being given all these events. I mean, they're going to host the Women's Cup of Nations, which is in a couple months' time, for a third tournament in a row. They're going to be hosting the Women's Cup of Nations. Although at times it's just, but I mean, also you cannot deny there's a bit of favoritism, especially amongst Mutsipe. Since Mutsipe's reign in Africa, there's been this favoritism towards Morocco, and it's led up to the Africa Cup of Nations, to this tournament. Like I mentioned previously in my preview and prediction for the group stage, this tournament is the accumulation of everything Morocco have done in the last 10-15 years, whether it's improvement of the football, improvement of the development, but also political sort of wrangling, a political soft power over CAF. Everything has led to hosting this Cup of Nations and hopefully winning this Cup of Nations at home. And for many fans, they've seen all of this accumulate over the years in CAF club competitions, in CAF youth tournaments, and then they come to the Cup of Nations, this Cup of Nations, where it has had a lot of legit big calls gone wrong. There's been a lot of inconsistencies with the referees, been a lot of conspiracies running around, and allegations and accusations running around about certain teams getting preferential treatment, like Morocco, etc. And this was just the tipping point. This was the boiling point. This was the boiling point across the board. Everyone felt, to an extent, how Senegal was feeling. The anti-Moroccan sentiment is not just because Morocco are good, or what Sofiane Boufal said in a press conference in Qatar in 2022. It's been building for years because we've seen the political wrangling. We have seen the administrative wrangling that Morocco have made to CAF. And now this is the tipping point. This was it. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. And this is why Senegal's actions by some fans have been applauded and celebrated by some group of fans online. Again, I do not condone Senegal's actions, but I sort of understand why it's happening. Whether I believe there is political wrangling or that Morocco are strong-arming CAF, I don't want to believe it. I don't necessarily want to believe it, but if you watching this believe it, then you have every right to believe it, you know? Do I think it's true? Probably, but I don't want to accuse anything without actual proof. I don't want to accuse anything without actual proof. So eventually we have just 20 minutes of I don't know. Senegal are at threat of forfeiting the match itself, which is what I thought was going to happen because these guys have just walked off the pitch without just cause. And then there's a moment where Sadio Mane stays on the pitch and he meets Claude Leroy, who's a Frenchman, famous coach, won the Cup of Nations with Cameroon a couple of times in the 80s. And he meets Sadio Mane and they have a nice little discussion, which is on TV. Sadio then calls the team back. I mean, the team's literally in the dressing room. The team and some of the staff are in the dressing room. Mane calls the team back. Mane then calls the team back and tells them, whatever it is, come what may, we must face it. Come what may. And the players come back. Onto the pitch, and after what seems like an eternity, we finally get the penalty. Now, En-Nesyri looks like he's about to En-Nesyri literally scored the winning penalty in the semi-final. He's taken big penalties before. Hakimi is still on the pitch, and although he's also missed some big penalties, he's also scored big penalties before. Instead, it goes to the man of the tournament, Brahim Diaz, the top scorer of the competition, the man who's scored in all but one of Morocco's games, the man who's been one of the stars of this competition, one of the revelations of this competition. It's his chance to end 49 years, 10 months and 5 days of waiting. He has the chance to win the Africa Cup of Nations for the land of his ancestry. All it is, just one kick of the football. And it's one of the worst kicks of the football you're probably ever going to see. He then tries to Panenka the penalty, and it's absolutely ugly. It's ugly. It has no direction. It's short, and Mendy just catches it almost as if like he's playing catch with his children. It's absolutely wild. I mean, of all the occasions, now you want to get cute, now you want to get fancy, now you want to get pretty. Now it's a horrible penalty. It's so bad that there's groups of people online who believe he intentionally did that because he wanted to win the Cup of Nations fairly. Like I said, these are all conspiracies. I don't know what is true. I don't know what is not. I'm not going to support one theory or the other. But this is just absolutely crazy. I mean, it's a wild penalty. It's a terrible penalty. And now as we blow the whistle, full time 0-0 and onto extra time. And now the state of the two teams is absolutely different. For Morocco, it's what now? It's what's left in the tank. What do they have left in the tank emotionally? What do they have left in the tank physically? Because they look like they were tiring those last 15 minutes. What do you have left in the tank emotionally, physically, in terms of your stamina and your fatigue? And what do you have left in the tank emotionally? You've just had this long delay. You had the penalty. You have the chance to win. You then absolutely mess it up in the worst way possible, and now you have to win it in extra time. What do you have left? For Senegal, they're absolutely up. I mean, they feel a great sense of injustice and are absolutely vindicated, and now head into extra time with fresher legs, with potentially fresher legs, and definitely will be having their tails up heading into the extra time period. So then we head to extra time, and in extra time, like I'd mentioned at the end of 90 minutes, my big concern for Morocco is now, how much do they have left? What do they have left physically, and what do they have left emotionally? And sadly, that question would be asked, or would be louder, as finally we'd have the breakthrough. Morocco would be dispossessed in the midfield again, just as they were in the first half of the actual game. Sadio Mane would drive the ball forward, find Pape Gueye, and Pape Gueye marauding forward, marauding into the box. He then takes an absolute firecracker of a shot. Bono stands no chance, and it rattles the net, and we have the breakthrough, the final so badly needed. And it silences the Prince Moulay Stadium, and probably even silences the entire country. And it is obviously his third goal of the tournament. I mean, you got 2 against Sudan in the last 16. But I mean, this goal meant so much more to the Villarreal man, and it was a goal that really, not that Senegal, you could say, deserved, but it was a goal that really we saw coming. You know, football's version of Murphy's Law. If you don't take your chances, you're going to get punished. And Morocco had golden chances to put this game away. The penalty, not just the penalty, but also chances in extra time. I mean, in the second half, and still could put them away. And now they were behind. And for the first time in the entire tournament, Morocco had conceded in open play. And for the first time, they were behind. And they were behind at the worst possible time, with 27 minutes left of the tournament to play. And now Senegal, who were already on an emotional high, now we're even higher, because now they led the final, they lead, and now it was Morocco's to chase. And as I said earlier, what do Morocco have left? They'll have to dig really deep to find a really special moment. The problem is they'll have to be digging in a very shallow well. Although they would, not for the lack of trying, they did create opportunities, and Nasseri has a header that just goes wide. And then the game finally returns to what it was supposed to be about, the football. Both teams creating very good chances, especially Morocco in the first half of extra time, and then again in second, where Agued hits the post in the second half of extra time from a set piece. Senegal have a great opportunity to see the game off, where Sheriff, he saves, he's in on goal, forces Bono into a save, and then at first glance looks like he misses a legit open goal opportunity. But when you look at the replay, you see Yassine Bono actually make a save by sort of putting his hand on the ball, or putting his hand, doing just enough to get the ball so that Sheriff couldn't strike the ball as clean as he wanted to, and the ball would skewer wide, which was a great piece of it. I mean, when I talk last ditch, that's absolutely last ditch. I'm talking 2.49 out of 3. I'm talking, 11 minutes 59 seconds late. Sadly, though, the game would peter out, and as the rain poured down in Morocco, so did the tears. The stadium starts emptying fast. The game begins to break down. And what with a few last-ditch opportunities, time would run out. The full-time whistle goes off. Rabat goes silent. Morocco goes silent. But the roars would actually be heard in Dakar, in St. Louis, in Mbo, as Senegal would be African champions for the second time. Senegal would finally conquer the continent again, a second title in 3 tournaments. Sadio Mane joins an exclusive group, being a multi-time CAF Ballon d'Or winner and now a multi-time Cup of Nations champion. Pape Thiaw makes history, becoming the first ever coach to have won the Nations Championship and now the Cup of Nations. And yet again, Senegal has another amazing story, another amazing night in its history as they become multi-time champions of Africa. It is an amazing achievement. Sadly for Morocco, the dream ends here. This was the tournament. This was the one. And sadly, it will be 50 years before they try again in Pamoja 2027. It will be 50 years before they try again to conquer the continent. But tonight belonged to Senegal. So where to from here for the winners, the losers, and to an extent for CAF as a whole? I'll start with the losers, Morocco, and the question that they didn't want to have to ask throughout this entire tournament, now they'll have to ask. If not now, when? Like I'd mentioned on numerous occasions, probably I've mentioned it in this video as well, everything Morocco have done, both good, bad, illegal, or ill-handed, or fair, on the pitch, off the pitch, sporting or political, everything Morocco has done has led to this moment. Fawzi Lekia's one big goal as Royal Moroccan Football President is to win the Cup of Nations at home. Win it at home and to end this 50-year wait for Cup of Nations glory. For a country of Morocco's standard, for a country of Morocco's standing and their passion for the game, one Cup of Nations title is not enough. To have one Cup of Nations title is not enough, and to wait 50 years for potentially another, that is not good enough. They have to win the Cup of Nations in the here and now. And this was the chance. This was the tournament. It's at home. You're the best team on the continent. You're playing in front of your own fans. This was the tournament. This was the tournament. And they failed. They failed. They simply failed. And now the question is, if they do not win the Cup of Nations now, if they couldn't win this tournament now, at home, in front of their own fans, with this team, this generation, when are they going to win the Cup of Nations? When? Because it's only going to get harder now. Because now the Cup of Nations, the conditions change. Because now the next Cup of Nations will be in Pamoja 2027. We don't know where 2028 is going to be because we haven't got the official announcement yet, although I do hear South Africa are shouting the loudest. But we now know the Cup of Nations won't be returning to North Africa for quite a while. Even now, more so with the change from a biannual tournament to now quadri, 4 years, a 4-year interval. I mean, now we know North Africa will not host another Cup of Nations for a long time, and stereotypically North African teams do not do well at Cup of Nations when they played south of the border, south of the Sahara. They don't do very well. Stereotypically, they don't do very well. So if they couldn't win it at home in their own country, where the conditions favor them, where the fans favor them, where everything favors them, what makes you think they're gonna win it away from home in Kenya, in South Africa probably, or even in Ivory Coast or Senegal or Nigeria or Ghana or wherever the Cup of Nations goes in the future, knowing that they generally don't do well under those conditions? And you really felt now, not just the conditions, but also this team. This generation isn't getting any younger. I mean, this is arguably the greatest generation in Moroccan football history. I mean, we all know what they achieved in Qatar 22, but this generation isn't getting any younger. Hakimi is not getting any younger. Bono is not getting any younger. Roman Saiz might as well retire from international football right now. And I don't mean that to be mean or to be disrespectful, but I mean, the guy's in his 30s and couldn't finish and only played 30 minutes of the entire competition, the first 30 minutes of the competition. It's a team that's not getting any younger. They're not getting any younger. They're not getting any younger. There's a team that's going to start to grow old together. And even though they do have a good generation coming up, I mean, they are literally the U20 world champions. The thing is, there are many teams who have won the U20 World Cup, who have achieved great things at youth level and achieved nothing since. I mean, for every France in 2013, there is Serbia 2015, there is, to no fault of their own, Ukraine 2019, and Mexico in 2011. Teams who were world champions at youth level and with that same generation achieved nothing since on the continent and in the world. They achieved nothing since. And as much as there's no reason for that to happen to this Morocco U20 team, the problem is that can happen. And even the future, there's no guarantee Fawzi Lekjaa will be around for very long as Moroccan football president. I'm not saying that his job is untenable or he's under pressure or whatnot, no, but with the unpredictable nature of African football, there's no telltale sign that Fawzi Lekjaa will be around much longer. Wale Regragui as well, there's no telltale sign that he'll be around after 2026. He'll be around for the next Cup of Nations. There's so much uncertainty in the future of Morocco and the Atlas Lions that now we don't know what happens next. And if they couldn't win the Cup of Nations now, that's why they had to win the Cup of Nations now, because now was the one time where they were in control of their own destiny. That time has passed. That chance is gone. And now they head into the uncertainty where we don't know when they'll win the Cup of Nations. We don't know if they will win the Cup of Nations in the future. They will. Morocco will win the Cup of Nations in the future because this is football and nothing lasts forever. I mean, look at PSG, look at Paris Saint-Germain, look at Tottenham Hotspur. So nothing necessarily lasts forever. Morocco will eventually win the Cup of Nations. One day, the stars will align. One day, Morocco will get it right. One day, Morocco will call themselves champions of Africa again. One day. The problem is, when will that day come? It didn't come when it was expected to come. How long will we wait for that day to come? Another 10, 20 years? We don't know, but that's going to be the problem now for Morocco. Where to from here? That's going to be the question. If we can't win the Cup of Nations now, when? And the worst part is, if they don't win the Cup of Nations, this generation or this era of Moroccan football sadly will not have. I mean, they made the semi-final of the World Cup, which is great, but they won't have anything sort of tangible to hold on to. They won't have anything tangible to show for their success, like a Cup of Nations trophy. They won't have that tangible thing to hold on to. And that's going to be a very, very tough pill for them to swallow. And football is not kind. Football is not kind. Not even in football history is not kind. It's not kind to context. So Morocco will have a lot of home truths to deal with, especially now with this recent failure. Senegal, it's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal for Senegal and for the team, and not just that, but for Sadio Mane. He has cemented his legacy as one of the greats of African football. I mean, ever since he announced his that this was essentially his farewell tour, I mean, to win the Cup of Nations again, two-time Cup of Nations winner. He becomes only the third player to win the Africa Cup of Nations, multiple Cup of Nations, and now multiple CAF Ballon d'Ors. And he's in there with Samuel Eto'o. Sadio Mane now joins that exclusive club of true Cup of Nations GOATs. He has now cemented himself as the greatest player to ever wear the white, green, yellow, and occasional red of Senegal. Officially, undeniable. The 2002 generation was great, but they didn't bring home any silverware. Sadio Mane has brought home not just one, but 2 Cup of Nations titles, along with contributing with big moments along the way. Like I mentioned before, he's become emblematic of this Senegal generation. The Senegal generation that unfortunately didn't achieve a lot, that was coming out of a very difficult, dark period, and he's become the face of that. He's become a face of the Senegal team that has become successful and has now become one of the top sides in African football, and now are 2-time African champions. It is a truly fantastic achievement for them and for Sadio Mane, and he cements his legacy as one of the great players of African international football. He's now in that same sort of boat as Samuel Eto'o, Mohamed Abu Trika probably. He's right there in that, and now he's in the GOAT debates. He's now in GOAT debates. Having won 2 of the last 3 2 tournaments in last 3 editions, it's absolutely incredible. And for someone like him, for such an amazing player, and even off the pitch, an amazing person, it's absolutely, you couldn't wish for something else. You couldn't wish for a better person. And for Sadio Mane, and even just tonight, where he showed immense leadership by bringing Senegal back on the pitch, because if Senegal stayed off the pitch, they would have forfeited the final, and that would have been uglier than what we saw. It could have been infinitely worse. So he's done a phenomenal job. He's been a phenomenal person, and has become a hero for his people. And for Sadio Mane, it's just it couldn't happen to a better person, to a better player. And to round it off, being awarded, in my point of view, a little unjustly so, but I mean, I'll let it slide, player of the tournament. It's a great achievement for him. It's a great achievement for his country, and he now begins the farewell tour, or sort of now has had the great moment of his farewell tour, and now eventually he will ride off into the sunset and will now join the table, the pantheon of African football greats. He's now part of that conversation, and for a country like Senegal, tiny country like Senegal, to have a player like him in that realm is absolutely immense pride the Senegalese now are going to feel in football. Remember, Senegal, in terms of football achievements, Senegal is still a very young country. I mean, in terms of footballing achievements, in terms of footballing relevancy, they're still a very, very young country. And now to finally, in this young, small country, the fact that they now have a player in that realm of African football greats, it's a fantastic feeling, it's a fantastic achievement, and for them it's just going to be absolutely wonderful that they have a player like that. They've produced a player like that to join the greats of African football, 2-time Cup of Nations winner. It's absolutely wonderful and amazing, and it's joy all around. For CAF, I mean, this is a tournament where they're going to have to ask a lot of questions of themselves. I mean, not just with this final, but I mean, this is a tournament that it's had its positives. I mean, the stadiums have been great. The organization has been great. A lot of the administration has been great, but some of the sort of bloopers, or some of the sort of unsavory moments is what's going to sadly mark this tournament. And I'm talking about things such as some of the complaints that teams had, and even the final itself, the refereeing decisions and the biases, whether true or not, the biases and biased calls. That's going to really leave CAF with a bit of a tarnished reputation, because now the favoritism that a lot of Morocco's detractors now have alleged is now, I'm not going to say immediately proven, but now the detractors, they're kind of right. Those who were the detractors were kind of right. The detractors were kind of right. They were proven right. They were validated, and it now leaves a really poor taste in CAF's mouth. And now CAF have to go, because now this tournament, if Morocco had won, this tournament would have been forever tainted and would have been forever sort of have a really tainted and forever been so disputed. And now, regardless of who won, this has left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. It's left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. It's left a sour taste in all of our mouths. And Motsepe and co gonna have to go back and really now have some home truths, home discoveries now about what is going to be a very, very difficult period for them now, leading into the end of this tournament. It has been a controversial end to this tournament. We know now the next Cup of Nations will be in Pamocha in 2027. I don't think that we're probably going to have the same sort of controversies. I hope we don't. And in 2028, probably I should make a full video. Let me know if you want a full video of what I think about the future of the Cup of Nations. I've been holding it off because I've been covering the actual tournament real time, but definitely in the pipeline is going to be a video about the future of the Cup of Nations. But it's been a very difficult tournament for Motsepe and co, and I'm not going to necessarily say that they're happy that it's over, but it's going to be a very, very difficult sort of period now for CAF to salvage their reputation after what has been, although a joyful and colorful tournament, a tournament that's going to have its controversies, a tournament that's had its biases, and a tournament where a lot of the detractors were proven right. And that is it. It's the end. Full time. The tournament has now come and gone. 28 days, 4 weeks of riveting football now comes to a close. Thank you for following me throughout this tournament. This tournament has been an absolute slog to follow. It's absolutely wrung me dry, and you can say in a good way as well. It's been an absolutely tiring competition to follow and make content on, but still enjoyable nonetheless. What was your moment of the tournament? What was your moment of the final? How are you feeling after the final? Thank you again for everyone who watched every single video, all my preview, my predictions, who laid in the comments, who've been hitting me up throughout the tournament. Thank you so much for your engagement and your support and your likes, your views, all that stuff. The grind doesn't stop. Unfortunately, the ball doesn't stop, because the next thing is coming up. The CAF Champions League comes back real soon, so there's no rest for the wicked here. I'll be covering that as well. And then whatever else comes, so sadly the ball doesn't stop rolling here. But for now, the last time in Morocco, for the last time, and I think after everything we've experienced in this final, say with me one last time, loud and proud. It's been your boy the Football Otaku, and say with me now, loud and proud, one last time, real football always wins. Check you on the flip side. Deuces. Bye bye.